Okay, welcome everyone in the rest of the world to this week's TED Talk. This week's graduation, this month's graduation for class number 5. Class number 5 started in March. Does anybody remember how many people you started with?
About 12.
13.
Somewhere around there.
3? No.
13.
13?
Somewhere around there.
No. From Salvation Army of the whole.
How many people started in March? Sherry would know
Our
that.
group, I think it was like 13.
Over 13.
Okay, I think it was more than, it was probably closer to 16 started altogether. Some people lasted a day. Some people last more than a day. Many people didn't make it. So but we do have 6 people who did make it. So congratulations to the people who made it. This is kind of a rigorous thing. 520 hours minimum and 16 weeks getting here to start at 8. So what time do some people have to leave to get up to get here?
4:30.
4:30, 5. Billy?
About 5:30.
About 5:30.
8 o'clock the night before.
Okay, 8 o'clock the night before. So people have, so you have to be committed to come here, and this is important for an employer. If you remember from Hero School, employers want to get people who they can depend on to show up. That's one of the good things. So everybody here should be congratulated on that you've showed up virtually every day for 16 weeks. And I think, did you miss a day at all, Israel?
Just a couple hours one day in the morning.
Okay.
I see the.
And you had how many hours?
I don't know.
500 and something?
Six something.
Okay, 6 something, okay. So, that shows commitment. And when we're talking to employers about our people here, the big thing we're stressing is our people made it through 16 weeks of an immersive program. And for our newer students and people who haven't graduated yet, that's an important thing that separates you now from other people. When you guys are at week 16, you're going to feel much differently than you do now. You're not going to be uncertain what's going on. What are we going to do today? I feel like I'm lost. It's good to have those feelings. It's not always good to feel comfortable going into a situation. This morning, we had all of our morning tests, except for one, our word test. All of those crammed into a few hours, and we watched a TED Talk, right?
Yeah.
And some people were very frustrated, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's okay. It's not about getting frustrated, it's what you do about getting frustrated. A lot of people say, screw it, it's not worth it, and they walk out. Okay? Also, it's not just the frustration of the person, it's your frustration, how other people respond to that. That is important. Because did anyone else hear Jamie's frustration? Nobody heard Jamie's frustration.
Yeah, it just goes over my head, though.
So that's the thing you need to do. You can't let it bother you. Good employees, productive people are able to focus. And so part of the reason, a big part of the reason the school is the way it is so that you can become good employees. And part of that is to be able to handle frustrating situations, not get frustrated. The good news is tomorrow is another day. So don't let yourself get too upset. And the new people were not here for Marcus Aurelius, right?
Stoicism.
Okay, for
That's the
Stoicism.
#1 rule.
You're going to see that in the future. And it basically is there's things you can control and things you can't control. The things you can't control, don't let it upset you because you can't control them. Okay? You can't control the tests that I create for this class. You can't control that. You can't control if Jamie can't control himself. We can't control that. But we can control how we respond to it. And most people are not brought up in an environment where you are taught being able to control your emotions is one of the most important things to be able to do. So part of our curriculum is designed to let people get this out of their system. You notice I didn't really respond to Jamie, I just ignored it. Okay, this is about Jamie and everybody else who's frustrated. Nick was frustrated, right? This is about letting you deal with it and get beyond it, and everyone else not getting affected by it. This isn't about me having to intercede and say, Jamie, calm down, right? And so at the end of 16 weeks, you're going to feel much better. So a lot of what we do because it comes from the perspective of employers. What do employers want? One of the benefits that you have is that the staff here have worked for companies, have a career. Sherry has a very long career with the major casinos. Sands in Atlantic City, and then out here, and then Caesar's Palace. And those are professional companies, and they only, at her level, they only have professional people. And so she knows what it's like. Sean is a CPA, has worked for some of the largest accounting companies, and also worked at Stations Casinos, and he's been into hundreds of companies and what are best practices. And I've had some experience too. The president of the school, Brendan Shear, is a colonel in the U.S. Army, a West Point graduate. So again, we have this curriculum is designed to be helpful for people today. But it's more than that, because a lot of things are pop culture. If you go into a bookstore, you go on the internet, and you look at self-help, there's new stuff every week. Now, how can there be new self-help stuff every week? Should be, here's the Bible of self-help. So why is there new stuff every week? What do you think, Cody?
To make money off of it?
Yeah, people want to make money. So I'm going to write something, I'm going to say something, I'm going to tell people it's new. Maybe it's new and it hasn't stood the test of time, or maybe it's not new. It's something that has been around for a long time. And what were we talking about with somebody's doing something that's really stoicism, but they're not saying this is stoicism? We talked about it a couple weeks ago. Some group.
There's a word for it.
No, there's something that is talking about what they do. And it was, what they're talking about is what Marcus Aurelius talked about. This is out of Marcus Aurelius 180 AD. So the other part of our curriculum has to do with things that have stood the test of time. So we know it's real because it has lasted for a long time. And that's one way to know if something is valid, because it has been tested time and time again. And that is Roman history. Unfortunately, they don't teach Roman history in school very much. Did you guys have it in high school? Like for a week?
Yeah.
2 weeks? 1 week? Julius Caesar? Okay. For a very short period of time. And that's because most of the people who teach that really weren't paying attention when they were taking those classes in college, because they didn't get it. But hopefully in the next few minutes I will convince you that that stuff is very, very important. And the key thing is, and for people who are leaving, and I think for everyone else, what you should put in your books is that people don't change.
People don't change?
People don't change. Technology changes. People don't change. Technology changes. Has anybody heard of the 7 deadly sins?
Yeah.
When do you think those were created?
Probably the beginning of
Thousands
time.
of years ago.
Right. Are they still the 7 deadly sins?
Yes.
Yeah. Why? Because people don't change.
Yeah.
People don't change. What has changed is
Just our movies
technology.
screwed it up for us.
Technology has changed. Gluttony, greed, envy, sloth, vanity, wrath. I think I'm missing one. Those things don't change. Technology changes. So if people don't change, technology changes, we should look for things that are really old that have stood the test of time. because people don't change. So the 7 deadly sins are still the 7 deadly sins.
Yeah.
And the best example of that, really, objectively, is the Roman Empire, or Rome. So everybody's going to get a little history lesson on Rome, because our curriculum is sort of based upon that, because people don't change, technology changes, and if it worked for the Romans for 2,000 years, it probably means that it was right? Because how could you do something for 2,000 years and it worked and say it really doesn't work? Okay? So when was the city of Rome founded?
500 AD, 700,
600.
580?
No, 15.
Oh, 15.
So it's,
I mean BC. Sorry.
180.
500
1
BC.
AD, no. Rome was founded in
Yeah,
753
700 BC.
BC.
5 or 7. By 2 guys, right?
And by 2 brothers. That's the story, that's the legend.
No, we got it.
Okay? And I don't know the correct date, final date, but in about the 1400s, the Roman Empire in the East fell. So that's over 2,100 years that the Roman Empire was the dominant force in the world. And anything that is in Latin is Roman. So if you look at any currency, any dollar bills that we have, there is Latin on them. Did you know that? Do you have any money in your pocket? Do you have a $1 bill? Take it out.
Look around the outside of that pyramid.
Huh? Yeah, that's one thing. Okay, so another thing. What is the symbol of this country? What is the animal that is the symbol? The eagle, right. Where did that come from?
The Romans.
That was a condor. Nazis was a condor.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Nazis had a turtle.
A lot of people think that, and they didn't want to copy the Romans. Okay, so where did the eagle come from?
Rome. Roman.
Rome, they had it on that thing.
Okay, yeah, that was the symbol for Rome.
When they go into battle, they carry one on a stick.
Right. Okay. Now, how did Rome become the dominant world player?
They were the only players.
No.
By conquering other tribes. and
But it wasn't that. So it was, well, sort of, it ultimately came to that. No. The Romans were very pragmatic people. They were not clever like the Athenians, though they had clever people. But as a people, they were not clever. They were practical people. We need water. Let's build this thing called an aqueduct. Well, yeah, but the river's 72 miles that way. That's okay. It'll just take longer. Okay, we want to get water here, we'll do it. And they pumped in 12 million gallons of water a day from having these things, and they had to be almost completely level. I mean, like a 1 degree angle, because if it's too steep, problems. If it's not steep enough, what happens? Water doesn't flow down. So they had to figure these things out as very practical people. And the Romans became large, and this goes to hero school's #1 rule regarding homelessness. What's the #1 thing homeless
Don't
people
beg.
do? They ask for something without giving something first, right?
Yeah.
Begging.
Big.
Okay. So the Romans didn't go to places and say, we're going to give you nothing. They said, we're going to bring you law, we're going to bring you roads, and we're going to bring you trade. We're going to make your lives better. And as long as you pay your taxes and obey the laws, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be cool. But you will obey the law and pay your taxes. Because if you don't, we're going to make sure you do. And there are some lessons in history where the Romans did that. Well, how did the Romans enforce the law? What did they do?
The sharp end of the spear.
Not a spear. Well, they had very well-trained, disciplined soldiers. And ultimately, Rome fell because the soldiers were not disciplined. And the soldiers in discipline, this is in the 400s now. When Rome in the West fell, was because they couldn't defend themselves. And they couldn't defend themselves because they didn't think it was important to have a strong army. And they had people who wanted to come into Rome, who were barbarians, and said, let us in because the barbarians behind us are stealing all of our stuff. So if you let us come in, we're going to be hard workers. We're going to do the jobs your people don't want to do, that Romans don't want to do. Does that sound familiar?
Just
It's
because
like
of their numbers.
Mexico and the U.S.
It's not because of their numbers they didn't have to be good warriors?
Huh?
It's not because they had so many they didn't have to be good warriors?
No. When the Romans said, oh, no, you can't come in. We're not letting you in. And they said, but we'll do the jobs your people won't do. We just want to come in. And then the Roman army was becoming very expensive. So somebody had the bright idea of, okay, well, why don't we make this a condition? If you join the army and fight for us, we'll let you in. Sounds reasonable, right? Except when they let the people in, they didn't become Romans. They remained as what they were. They were Goths. And they kept their heritage. They didn't want to become Romans. And which wasn't uncommon. When Rome ruled Egypt, they didn't make everybody become Roman. They could stay Egyptian. They just had to do things. But the Romans didn't depend upon the Egyptian army to protect them. In this case, several hundred years later, they needed the barbarians who they let in to protect them. And they were not disciplined soldiers. In Rome, when you went into the army, you might be 15, you might be 17, and you would be in the army for 20 years. These were guys that were much like the army that we have today. You know, our army versus the rest of the world. No other army in this world has been fighting in battles for 20 years. We have very highly experienced soldiers in our army. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
When's the last time the Chinese army fought?
World War II.
100
Okay.
years?
How many guys in the million-man army of China fought in World War II? 0.0. Okay, so they have people who haven't really been in battle. Where have we been in battle in the last 20 years?
Everywhere.
Middle East.
Middle East.
We've been there.
Okay. And then special assignments. Grenada, right? Little things down there. And so, so the Romans enforced Roman rule by the point of the, not spear, but by the point of their, what? Their sword, which they called a gladius. And the program that everybody here is in is the gladius program. So the gladius program is designed by ex-felons for ex-felons, but you don't have to be an ex-felon, but it was designed for that. And the symbol on the logo is a gladius.
Not an acorn.
This, for everybody, which I will pass around, this is a gladius. And people who actually graduate, not complete, meaning if you meet all the requirements, you graduate, you get one of these.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh? To use? No, not to use.
Does it come out?
No, this is a training gladius. This is made out of, you'll see. But this is the same weight as a real gladius and the same size. So this device right here is what was used by the Romans to conquer and control the world for 2,000 years.
It's not a very long sword.
That's the point. It's not a very long sword.
But it's lightweight.
It is well balanced, and it is light enough that you can use this for hours and hours and hours. Now, the difference between this and a real gladius is a real gladius would be about this much longer because this would come down to a point. And if you think about that, or if anybody remembers anything about using pins to puncture things, the sharper the point, the less pressure you need, right? So if you have something like this, when you stab someone, it goes in pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
But by the time it gets back here, you have a 3-inch gash. You have a lethal thing. But to be good at this, you can't be afraid to be up close and personal, right? And you see movies like Gladiator where they're against the barbarians and they have big tree limbs and clubs and big axes, and the Romans had to get inside of that to be able to fight. And to do that, you have to have discipline. You have to be able to overcome your impulse. You have to have good impulse control. You have to not get frustrated, not get afraid, etc. Because most battles, when you see these big massacres, it's not because what happened on the field. It's when people dropped their swords and decided to run. I'm getting out of here. Then it's a lot easier to kill people when you're chasing after them and you're stabbing them in the back. Okay, that's how most battles throughout history were won. Is one side gets an advantage, the other side cracks and says, let's run for our lives. And so the Romans were very disciplined. Well, when the army wasn't good, it's because they weren't disciplined. They weren't used to fighting with a short sword. And when the pressure was on, they just weren't prepared. So in this school, the thing we have as the gladius is the computer. And it's knowing how to use the computer. And it's being able to use the computer when all around you other people are doing things that are trying to disrupt you. When you're very good, you really don't need headphones to block out stuff. And I can assure you, in most places you go to work, if it's a good place, they're not going to let you be listening to music while you're working. You have to be attentive. But we only have 16 weeks. And if you know how to type, the next level is to be able to block out noise without earphones and having music. And so that's why my focus, the focus of the school, is just learn the basic stuff, get really good at this. So I'm going to, and the other thing about this before I pass it around, what we're used to seeing is people using swords like this, right? Chopping, or like this. Okay, this is just a stabbing sword. So for the Romans, you had your shield on this arm, and it would cover you and part of the guy next to you. So you didn't hold it like this, you had it over here, and your shield would go from here over there. And they were rectangular and curved. And then this was for doing this. And you might, if the guy was going to hit you with a big club, where would you strike him? Right here. Okay? Try to get, if he was turned this way, boom, right into their heart. Right in through the armpit. Or if it was a lot of stuff going on, they would crouch down and you would stab people in the knees or in the thighs. And there's some arteries in the thigh, you hit that artery, boom, in 30 seconds that guy is done. It's bled out. So, or, wherever you could, but it was like this, not like this. So this simple tool is what enabled the Romans to conquer the world, because people knew how to use it. And for you, for everyone here, for this school, the idea is to master this computer technology. If you master this, then that's like mastering a gladius. And who are the people who mastered a gladius, Rand?
Word.
What were they called? Gladiator. That's swordman. So that is, and then the people today have to find a place to sign that. Okay, but that is the weight. What you're holding is something that is a gladius, and it's balanced so that it's not really, doesn't pull your arm down.
How much does it weigh?
A couple pounds, maybe 3 pounds. So, okay, so that is why, yes, Bill?
Is it worth commenting on how Caesar was born and what is named after him?
Well, Don't say he had a cesarean section, because that is not true. But go ahead.
Well, suppose the teacher was born by cesarean section, that's why it's called cesarean
Yeah.
section.
It's called that, but he was not born that way. But thank you, because it's a good story and a good way to remember. One of the greatest people in the history of the world was Julius Caesar, and we'll study him a little bit later. But now for the rest of our program. So to summarize, what the school does is it believes a very simple principle. People don't change, technology changes. Let's find something that has worked for a long, long time. And we'll apply that same thing to this school for success. And today, the simple key tool is the computer and the internet. If you master those and you have discipline to use them, then you will be successful. You don't have to worry about anything. If you don't master them, then you're going to be like the guy who didn't really know how to use a gladius, and his name was what? Dead, right. Okay. He didn't last. We don't remember him. He's somewhere out there in the field. We don't know who that was. And the Romans adopted something that the Greek Spartans had, which was what? What was the thing about the Spartans? About your shield. About having discipline.
Oh, they did.
Sword and shield are one, part of your body.
Yeah, they're part of your body.
Well, phalanx.
You always protected the guy next to you.
Well, but when you were being trained to be a Spartan and you would go off to battle, what was the command? Not to charge.
Put all your shields
No.
together. Make a,
No.
Come
What
back with
was
your shield or on it.
right? Come back with your shield or on it, because if you're going to run, you're going to drop your shield. You're not going to be carrying this big shield. You're running for your life. So if you came back, if you were a Spartan and you came back to camp and you didn't have your shield, what did that mean?
You ran.
You ran. So the command was you come back with your shield or you come back on it. And that's what they did. And they knew that if they didn't break, then they would probably win. Except, what is that story about the Spartans? Where they lost?
300?
Yeah. So Thermopylae.
They lost them.
Thermopylae
Yeah.
Pass.
Yeah. But they fought to the last man.
Those little skinny
And they
pass.
fought long enough
Yeah, they never gave up from.
that they that the Greeks ultimately won. So
Greeks, I thought it was the Persians.
no, the
Greeks
Persians
Persians were
lost.
fighting them.
Persians lost.
The war. They won that battle.
Yeah, they
lost the
won
war.
at Thermopylae, but they lost because otherwise there would be no Greeks. There would be no Greek people. So here we're celebrating today 6 people who have finished. 2 people got everything right. So as far as the state of Nevada is concerned, they have graduated because they finished all of the things that they needed to finish. Everybody, though, has gained. Everybody's skills here are everybody's skills here, I can assure you, I promise you, everybody's skills here are way better than they were when each person started. And because of the way that we did things, you're going to remember a lot of stuff even when you're gone. Years from now, you're still going to remember a lot of stuff. So nobody should feel bad because they didn't graduate. Maybe if you say, well, if I just would have done a little bit more, I would have graduated. But that's okay. As I said to the judges the other day, and as I say to everyone, Stanford has 4 years. We have 16 weeks. So we can't be expected to do the same thing that Stanford does in 4 years. We can't do that in 4 months. But everybody comes a long way. The key thing is always just do your best. And that was the message of the Romans. Just do your best.
Be proactive.
And that is ultimately Stoicism, right?
Yeah.
Just do your best. Moral virtue
Moral
is
virtue,
enough.
yeah.
Okay? Don't do the wrong thing. Do the best you can do. The gods have put you here to do this thing. Do it the best that you can. That's all we expect. And if you take that into work, if you take that into an employer, you will be the best employee there. If you take an attitude of what can I do for you into your next employment, you're going to be the best person, because everybody else is going in there saying, what can you do for me, right? What can you do for me? You need to take that attitude. So I believe at least the seed has been planted in everyone who's graduating, completing. Maybe it hasn't sprouted yet, but if you continue to water it, it will. Okay, so now we're going to go to the next thing. And this is the part where people get to come up and say whatever they want to say. And then I can hit the mute button. So the first person that we are going to acknowledge is Toni. Okay. So come here, please. Have a seat. You might have to stand up. Okay, let's move a little bit to this direction so we can both get a picture. Okay. So, and I think we probably, let's just move this in. Okay, so there's a lot that we can all say about Toni.
Please don't.
And the starting point is that Toni has made the school better. Okay, we don't, as I said, this is training for the future. And having somebody who is strong-willed is a good thing, because that's what people are like. And so it's good to have people like Toni here who tried, appreciates the opportunity, did her best, and even when things would get to the point of not understanding, ultimately, after saying whatever she had to say, and then apologizing, she would get back to doing it, or saying, oops, my mistake, yes, I should have been paying attention. She got back to it. So what Toni is getting is recognition for the Chow Tootie newsletter, basic Microsoft PowerPoint, basic Microsoft Word, business sales and communications, and there should be one for typing. What was your highest typing? Okay, so 25. Oh, because I didn't know it. That's right, because it's blank up here. You weren't here that day. So, congratulations, Toni.
Thank you. So what? You want me to?
Would you like to say something?
Yeah, I would. Hopefully without crying. I just want to say that it took me every day for the first week. I wanted to stop. I was confused. All this stuff is not my forte. I'm a task-oriented person, but not in an office. So listening to the director, seeing his value for all these people in here, and believing what he said, and just convincing myself every day, don't quit today, don't quit. Every day I thought it was going to be my last day. This is my first week. But through the learn one, do one, teach one, all you people are so valuable, and that's why I stayed. And I have the opportunity now to get a good job because of these skills. So I'm just filled with gratitude. And I'm glad I didn't give up. And now this is, I understand that this is going to be a part of my, an extension of my life. I'm not intimidated by today's technology yet, by today's technology. So I couldn't beat them, so I'm glad I joined them. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Take a picture, look at the camera, smile. Please pick the director, and I'll email this to you. That was nasty.
Great. Okay. Fred. Come on down. Angel's here. Come on in.
Oh,
Fred?
thank you.
Okay, so I am sure everybody will also agree that Fred has made the school different.
Very different.
Okay. And I, on a personal level, I had the opportunity to do a outside project with Fred, because we walked down to Pigeon Lake, and got an opportunity to talk to Fred off the premise. And so I have learned something very important. Do you remember what that was when we were walking back?
I don't want to talk about it.
Not that, other things.
Well, I want to,
Do you remember what I learned from you? The other thing. Okay, so Fred has advised me when I'm walking down the street, right?
Yeah.
And just to say, hello, my brother, how are you?
Yeah. What?
So I have nothing.
No.
Okay, good. So that was a good experience. Fred, like Toni, like most people, came in, started with not having skills and not having really a strong desire to change from the past, to get a little bit better. But you know, a lot of people come here for different reasons than my reasons for them coming here. However, my ultimate reason for people coming here is because anything is better than being in prison.
Yes, sir.
And so I don't care if somebody's in prison and they come here, let's pull that chair over, and they come here not because they want to get stable and meaningful employment or do this, but that whatever their reason is, it doesn't matter to me, because I think I have 16 weeks to try to have an impact. And oftentimes I have people saying, why is that guy here, not Fred? Well, sometimes Fred. One time in particular.
Right.
Okay. Why is that guy here? And my answer was, this is a 16-week program. We can't judge people on the first week, the first month, the first 3 months. I need 16 weeks, and I will go. I think everybody here who's experienced it will agree, and hopefully at the end the new people will agree. I will go beyond the stage that you will go for yourself, and that I will say, okay, enough is enough, when I am convinced there's nothing I can do more to help you get on the program. And when it starts affecting other people, then we have to make a change. Like, does anybody remember Calandra?
Yeah.
Oh, Guinevere, too. You don't remember Calandra?
No.
Okay. Okay. So, but up until that point, it doesn't matter to me why you're here, what your motivation is. I'm just glad that you're here. And I'm going to push as much as I can to help you to plant that seed, because this is important stuff. Not just the typing and the Microsoft Office and the cloud, but the TED Talk stuff, the ability to be able to think about things, the ability to be able to listen to really smart people and say, you know what, I get what they're talking about. It's not like they're speaking French. I understand what they're saying. I don't understand everything they're saying, but I understand enough that I can form an opinion. And that's valuable stuff. So, for Fred, we don't have a lot of certificates, but we have the important ones. Fred has 25 words typing. And what did you start with, Fred?
Like 6.
Okay, Fred started with 6. So that's a huge thing, and it's especially huge if you're trying to type and you're holding a cane. Right, Fred?
Or listening to music.
Or listening to music, or playing cards, or whatever. So that is a huge accomplishment. So when I say to Santa Fe Springs, I think we have somebody who's going to break the record, it's because I think we have somebody who can break the typing record. You just have to be committed that you're going to do that. And put in, just do your best all the time. Now, we have a special award for Fred. No, it's a good award. We don't give bad awards. We have a special award for Fred, which is that Fred was here, the attendance award.
All
And
right.
so let's give Fred appreciate that. He showed up, and maybe just because it was better than the alternative, right?
Always.
Okay. Fred showed up, and I, the school is happy that Fred was here. We're happy that Fred is going.
Me too.
But Fred has made a positive impact on the school, and I know, Fred, that you're going to be remembered for a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah, you will.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Give some advice to people following.
First, I'd like to thank Larson here and in California. I came for my own reasons, but when I first started, I had these reasons, and where I'm at now, it's a totally different thing. I've learned a lot, and I really appreciate it. And for all the new people, don't give up. It was times that I would get frustrated like other people, and I turn my computer off, walk out the class. The director come talk to me, are you quitting, are you quitting? And that just made me say, nah, I ain't gonna quit, because I wasn't gonna give them the satisfaction. So, just stick with it, and it'll all come together. By like week 11, the stuff all came together like a pot of gumbo. It
I may use that.
It got easy. The stuff that I wanted to do and take the time to learn, it just started clicking. So just stick with it. And thank you.
Okay, thank
All
you,
right.
Fred.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Proud of you, Fred. Who's the next?
Rob, would you mind getting me a Diet Coke? Thank you. So we should be giving Rob an award. Yes, exactly. That we couldn't figure out which one. So maybe next month we'll figure it out. Okay.
All of the
So
above.
Ed, let's recognize Ed. Why aren't you wearing your new shoes?
Oh, I got a pop some.
Okay. It seems like the common theme of the people graduating today are that they have made an impact on the school, made the school better. I don't know that I've helped Ed, but Ed has helped me. So I have an appreciation, more of an appreciation than before about the virtue of patience because of Ed. But one of the good things about Ed, and I think Ed is going to do very well, is Ed now is, I think, at the stage where when he gets upset, he's able to refocus it and be pleasant and happy. And one way to disarm people who are aggressive towards you is by being friendly and smiling and being happy. So that is something that Ed has gotten to. We've had situations in the past where I thought we were going to go outside and have a different level of discussion about it. So thank you for your restraint. So Ed has been good. Now here's what Ed gets. Basic PowerPoint. Word, basic Word. Typing 15 words per minute. And unbeknownst to me, they check the records, and Ed is actually graduating too. He's getting his basic business sales and communications certificate.
All right.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
Well,
Maybe you should stand up so you don't look so short.
Well, like the director said, I get pretty frustrated real easy. But being here has been a change for me. I've never really been computer savvy, and lo and behold, I'm typing good. I'm getting to learn a lot of good stuff, and my dendrites are right.
Good, good word.
So I just want to thank the whole class, for helping me out. Don't quit. Larson is a great place, you know, and just keep up the good work. Thank you, Director.
You want to say hi to your mother or anybody? Hey, well. So Ed was also very good at, especially in the beginning, and when this group started, this class started, it was a lot of people. We were down to like 7 people, I think, when you guys started.
Yeah.
And the memorization thing had gone down. And it was people like Ed being willing to come up and not be, I don't really feel like it today. That turned the thing around. So now we're really getting to the point with the memorization where people on the outside are commenting to me about how good that is and how important it is, including Judge Kearns when he was here the first time and he saw people do it. So that's just another skill that's good, and that was something that Ed's willingness to participate without having to kind of be forced into it has made it better for everyone. It was right, Rob? Some weeks before, it was pretty, you get up there or you go home. Okay, now, because it should be fun. It should be something good. So, okay, onward, and Billy. Okay, now, come on up. So Billy was surprised about this. I could tell by the look on his face.
We've been talking about it all week.
In what way? Okay, let's get on camera. Okay, so Billy came. I'm not really sure why. Billy's here. Maybe it was just, you know, again, I don't really care because my belief is if you're here, I have an opportunity to do some good. So I'm not really involved in people's motives until it gets to the point where there's a reason I should care because it negatively impacts other people. And you know, talking about the memory type stuff, Billy continued a tradition that was started by that other guy who's not here, who we're not going to say, of doing original stuff or singing. So, you know, that's a good thing. And it takes guts to do that, right?
Yeah, I never thought I'd come up here and sing.
Hmm?
I never thought I'd ever come up here and sing. That's one of the, I've pretty much been very shy. Even getting up here and talking, it's pretty hard for me. And plus I realized how even just expressing myself, even in typing or writing or whatever, I've not been too good at that. So this has really helped me kind of start.
Wait, I am giving you the certificates.
Oh.
You're all right?
Before you didn't want to.
Where's the director? Jamie.
Now you
you
can
need to- We rehearsed all week. So, you know, again, we're very lucky because all the people we have had up here so far are different, but they've all contributed to the school. Even if their intention wasn't to come to contribute, everybody has made the school better, has made the experience richer and better for everyone. So what Billy is getting is a certificate for typing, 25 words a minute. I think they gave you an extra point.
Actually, yesterday I made 25.
Ah, so they knew that. Again, they know things I don't know. And also for attendance, for being here and doing and showing up. And I think, you know, just making it through was a good thing. And you can always
I'm
come
not
back.
done. To me, I'm just starting.
Okay, well,
If I have to be autodidactic away from here, that's what
you
I'll
have your certificate. Well, the certificate's not in here, but everybody again gets a voucher that you can keep coming back for a whole year and taking the rest of the program.
Yes. I
We
will
just
do
have
that.
to get the attendance papers signed up because, again, this is a licensed school and we have certain requirements that we have to do. So, Billy, thank you.
Thank you.
Here's this. Now, Kim Possible said you had something you wanted to say.
Well, no, the other day I was just gonna say that I know I've not reached the standards yet to get to be a full graduate, but in this last like 3 weeks, I've really started to kind of just pull myself and get myself to start doing it. For me, it's just laziness. That's all. I'm a procrastinator. That's what I've been most of my life. And I was going to kind of admit, I know that now, and I know that I need to do something about it, and I'm not getting anywhere until I solve that. And the start of it to me is here.
Good. Well, that's
I-
great. And you're not in AA. You don't have anything like that, right?
No, that's the whole thing. No, I have no. Mine is strictly.
But my understanding is, isn't the first thing in AA to acknowledge or admit?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Accept. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the fact that you're acknowledging to everyone that this, that you accept that you get laziness is the thing that
Yeah.
You didn't say that.
procrastination.
Well, procrastination.
I thought you said you're lazy.
Lazy.
I
I
thought you said
mean,
you're
that's
lazy.
called
SOB.
what is it called? A spade. A spade.
All right. So, again, Billy, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And when Sherry comes back next week, you can come in Monday if you want and be here, and then when she gets back on Thursday, you can just fill out new paperwork. If you want to keep coming.
Yes.
Okay. Dodie. Where's Dodie?
Keep telling me.
Oh, there she is. What can I say about Dodie?
Don't do it.
My brother Jesus. Help me, Jesus.
She's graduating, hallelujah.
Yeah. Hallelujah, brothers. Hallelujah, my brothers. Can I get an amen out there?
Amen.
So it's not the amen that Dodie's graduating. It's the amen that Dodie is up here
Graduate.
graduating. Right. The good news is, yeah, that's the good news. The bad news is Dodie's graduating.
She upped the
Administrative assistant. is what
Okay,
it is.
so, thank you, Scott. Has Ed helped be one of the people who would just get up and do things? And as Fred would repeat the red wheelbarrow
week after week.
and the purple cow, but got good at it.
And the through line lights.
Okay, but got very good at it.
Don't forget.
And as Scott would promise to do the same Crispin
I'm
speech.
gonna do it. I still got a month.
Yeah, as he continues to keep promising to do
Yeah.
that.
About second half.
Dodie really grabbed onto the memorization stuff
That's an amen.
with in a passionate way, as opposed to like Israel, I would know is going to have this nailed. And but Dodie's was a passionate thing. And we've all suffered, gained because of the choices of some of the things that she has selected. And that's okay, because the number one thing that Toni Shea points out is it's about passion.
Yeah.
What separates people is passion. Now, passion alone doesn't do it, but if you have two people that have the same skills, the person who's more passionate is the one who's going to prevail virtually every time, unless they're unlucky. But so Dodie brought that to the school for the memorization. And Dodie also was the one responsible for having the downtown Rangers set the thermostat. Some people might remember way back when, that,
In the freezing
at 8:19 every morning, it would be, can somebody turn on the air conditioning, please? It's too hot in here. Right?
Right.
Okay. So, Rob, we need another battery. Oh, see? Rob
Rob's on top
is
of it.
anticipation.
Better start writing this down.
Certificate for battery.
And we'll add that to it.
Right.
Always on top.
Okay, so we're going to take a commercial break for a second.
Hold up your Diet Coke.
Huh? Hold up the Diet Coke?
Yeah, that's the commercial. And a bill to Coke.
Come on, Dodie, do the Jabberwocky for us.
Yeah. Do you,
A little bit, but
Was Brill.
Get thrown on the spot, man. Thrown on the bus.
I'm sure I can do
okay,
it.
well, I think between all of us, we can do Jabberwocky. Okay, so we're back. I want to thank Coca-Cola for being here. Where were we? Oh, Dodie. So, yes, so Dodie has contributed to the school in a lot of ways, in ways that are different from other people, right? Why are you smiling, Scott? I think that in the classroom, Dodie had a presence. Dodie also had a presence outside the classroom with people. And I know that for some of the people who didn't make it, like Jim, part of the reason probably he did as well as he did is because you were encouraging him or having chats with him or whatever, smoking, whatever. But again, you know, the fact of coming here, spending the time, putting in the energy, learning things, putting yourself out there, making things happen is a important thing, and everybody benefits from that. So here's what we have for Dodie. Business Sales Project Administrator for what you have done in the afternoon. Now, we don't have a replacement. Were we going to use Malika
I think so.
for a week?
I can stay until you find a replacement.
Sure.
Well, that's a Sherry thing.
Okay.
Because you would have to, I don't know the rules about that. But you can come back for a year.
Okay.
But it would be good for Malika to get up to speed on that. Basic Microsoft Word, typing 45 words per minute. Now, is there anything missing? Is anything we're missing? Any certificates? Because I know you're going to let me know.
Right.
You're going to go into Sherry's office and Andy, I want my certificate.
All right. Nothing I can think of right now.
Okay,
but
good.
If I do, I will definitely let you know.
Okay.
You know that.
Okay, so here you go.
Thank you. First, I'd like to thank God for bringing me to pointing me in this direction,
Amen.
because He definitely did. And I'm going to thank the director, Rob, everybody here that really motivated me and kept me going, didn't let me give up, told me that I could do this, and I did it. And just the new ones, just keep at it and motivate yourself. And it helps knowing that there are people like this around. I just want to thank you very much, Director,
Welcome.
for everything. And I want to thank Toni Shea for opening up the school and the downtown project.
That's right.
And he's really making a difference. And I hope everybody that has an opportunity to take advantage of it does.
Good.
Okay.
Now, okay, thank you. Now, before you leave, who thinks that we should do Jabberwocky?
Yeah.
And what we're going to do is one word at a time.
Okay. or
Okay,
one
so
line
who's
at a
going to
time.
be,
I'll
who's going to
start.
do this?
Everybody gonna do this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Want to go around or do what?
yeah, we're going to go around one word at a time.
One word or one line?
One word.
I do the first line.
No, first word.
Twas?
Okay. So I'll go, okay,
What page?
no page, you got it, this is by memory.
Yes, by memory.
Okay, so
I got a book here, Tony.
we don't need a book, we're doing this
Oh,
by
we're
memory.
gonna, we're gonna continue to.
And Israel's going to do it. Who else?
I remember, to be honest.
Who else? Come up here.
Oh, I kind of remember this one. It's good.
Shire and Kimball and Wade.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember.
You cleaned up well.
Rumble.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Try it. I can honestly don't think I remember.
Okay, let's move over.
I got it, I'll feed you the lines.
Close.
We don't need to be fed the lines.
Sure about that?
Yes, okay. We need to, let's see.
Cozy up, guys.
Twas bright and slight.
might be, there we go.
Really, was really good.
Okay, so let's start there.
It was brilliant,
And
slightly toes,
Geyer,
and gimbal,
in
wait. All
Lindsay.
word.
the
Who's
Silent on the set.
Burl,
four goes?
four groups. I think we can get through this.
The,
What was that part?
the,
No,
four goes and the.
I don't know. The
Mom rats.
mom rats. That's right. I don't remember.
Outgrade.
Did
Oh, and the outgrave, yeah.
Did upgrade.
Beware,
The Jabberwock.
My.
son.
The eyes.
The.
The eyes.
Jaws.
Oh, the jaws.
That.
Bite.
The the teeth.
Claws.
Claws.
That.
Catch.
Beware. The jab.
The. Jub.
Bird.
Beware.
And.
The oh, and the
And.
the
Shun.
and shun. The barriers.
Shun.
Shun.
The shun. Shun the barriers.
The.
Sure.
Wait. Shun the.
Shun the dreamiest.
Bandersnatch.
That was my favorite part.
Beware. Beware.
No.
No.
And. And.
As.
He.
No. In.
And as he grabbed his further sword.
No. That part, yeah.
Where are we?
I don't know.
All right, got it. Okay, we tried.
I don't think it was one.
Okay, but Israel, since you're here, why don't you stay? Okay, so,
Flat on the
we can't see you. There we go. Okay. So last but not least is Israel. And I know that everybody agrees that Israel has made a very big contribution. I think Israel has broken the record for most hours attended in a 520-hour program because he showed up every day and might have been out for a couple hours because he had no choice, right?
Yes.
And every week, Israel would go to, would do his job and memorize these things and put in the time to get it done. And he followed a tradition from doing that from Saul Gonzalez, which most people here weren't here with, right? So just Rob and Angel.
Yeah.
So one of the awards that we have that I was hoping that Saul would be here to give him was the Saul Gonzalez Memorization Award, because like Israel, no, because you didn't do all of them.
You skipped a couple.
Oh, yes.
And on this one, there's just this is black and white. This is a black and white thing because Saul, the level that Saul put was very high. And he was doing it, remember, at the stage I talked about where it was either you get up there or you go home. And so for somebody to not do what the rest of the people did, and I think it's because he liked it and he was good at it, whatever. but he had something carved on his desk, Viva the Rosso. Okay, so so Israel gets that award because he earned it, he put in the time, and it's an important thing to do. And what you will see, and what one of the things we want you to recognize about doing these TED Talks is the people that are up there, they're doing this stuff from memory. Memory is a vital thing. And then we'll be watching a TED Talk, everybody else I think has seen it a couple times, on memorization, Joshua 4, on how important memorization is. If you can't remember things, that means you can't really remember your past. And if you can't remember your past, it's almost like having no past. Now, there's bad things that we all have that we wish we didn't remember, but those are the things we seem to not be able to forget. And there are things that we want to not forget about our past. But when you're in a business situation, or like in these TED Talks, people getting up there, what you see is they have the ability to speak for 20 minutes on a subject, and they know it. They know the stuff, and they know it because they remember it, and they remember it because they have the ability, their brain is working that way. So a big reason we do the memorization stuff is to help everybody get back to being able to remember things. If you can't remember things, you just don't have a lot of value. And we know as adults, especially people over 40, do we have anybody here over 40? Oh, wow. I'm not the only one. Okay. So it gets progressively harder to learn new stuff, and the learning new stuff part is about remembering things. And so Israel, everybody knowing that every week, or having the expectation that every week Israel was going to do it, I know, put an extra burden on Israel of they're expecting me to do this, and I've done it every week, so now I have to do this, God damn it.
That's verbatim, actually.
Okay?
That's verbatim.
So Israel deserves another appreciation. And that really does make the school better and different, because they don't do this at UNLV, they don't do this at CSN. And I think some of you might remember when Judge Kearns was in here, he said he teaches a communications class at UNLV, and they don't do this there. And he was talking to me over there that this is a very valuable thing. And he had some advice, and as a judge they usually do, right? And his advice was, if you don't know it, pick a hard one. Don't pick an easy one. If you pick a hard one and you make a mistake, that's what everybody expects. If you pick an easy one and make a mistake, people don't expect that. So his advice, a little way to get ahead, was if you're not really sure, pick something that's harder than easier. So everybody now knows that. We shouldn't do the easy ones. So, and a lot of that was because Judge Kearns saw everyone here, not you two, and Justin, and not Caesar, but everyone else. He saw you guys get up and do it and try. And that made a big impact on the judge. And when you're doing it live in front of the world, and you don't know who's there, but it's live in front of the world and it's being taped, there's an extra level of pressure that I promise you people out there don't do. The number one fear that people have is speaking in public. So getting up here every week and doing this is a good thing. So that's the first award that Israel gets. Israel gets an award for Brain Rush. Finished all 16 classes. Well, I'll hold this. Wow. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. So Israel is the first person to get all 16 classes done. So that's 16 times 12, 160, 192 brain rushes, plus there were some extra ones in the first week or two. So over 200 assigned brain rushes. And 16 weeks of 10 questions, 10 brain rushes on the quiz. 12? That was 10.
Oh, he always gave us 12.
Yeah.
Believe it
We
or
started
not.
out with 12, and then we
Okay.
went
Say
to
192 plus 160.
So anyway, it's a big,
That's
it's a big enough number. So,
350.
and again, this is about just doing it. And for people that were at Hero School last week, you know, one of the things that Tiger talked about was, you know, you figure out what you set goals, you write down your goals, and then you just do it. Just get the hammer and you chip away at the wall until the wall comes down. How long did it take for the wall to come down in Shawshank?
20 years.
Okay, 16 years with a little hammer, but the guy didn't stop. So that is a great thing, and we have all benefited because we've been sitting here for 16 weeks, for some of us. For 16 weeks is just every day, consistently, Israel has just been chipping away at getting this done. So that's huge. Typing, 40 words per minute. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Was it more? Okay, 40 words per minute. And what did you start at?
Started at 10, I think, 10 or 12.
Proximo Bispo. Patience. Father Max allowed me to do that. Business sales, Microsoft PowerPoint, Microsoft Excel. We'll check
I
that
think
later.
I guess.
Okay. Microsoft Word, and graduating for business sales and communications class. So, congratulations. Thank you very much.
Amina?
It's on you.
All right. Well, I can honestly say that I'm better for coming to the school. It's taught me a lot. I wasn't very tech savvy when I first came here. I mean, I maybe knew how to turn on Facebook or something. That was it. But I learned all this other stuff, and I feel competent and confident. And it's just inspired me to continue to keep learning more and move forward. And you know, just do whatever I can. It's given me a thirst for knowledge. So I want to learn as much as I can about anything. As far as the memorization thing, I made it a personal challenge to myself because before, and I've told you this, before I came here, I was really scared about my memory. I couldn't remember basic things that I should know, you know, things that from my past and stuff. I was just having a hard time remembering stuff. So it was really something very scary for me. When I got out here, I was planning on going to see the doctor and all that stuff. But I made it a personal challenge, and that's why I put in all the time and the effort. And I can honestly say, since I've been doing them, my memory has improved tremendously. So for that, I'm very thankful. So it might seem corny, but believe me, and it's like you said, if you can't remember something, it doesn't do you any good. So memory is an important thing. And you guys, I mean, you guys are young, so it's a little easier for you. But as you get older, things will start to fade, things will start to slip, and it's just kind of scary. So put an effort into it. Just do the work. It's not that hard. You got to be here anyways, so just make the most of it. So, I mean, I'm happy to have completed this.
Okay, now what about Stoicism?
Oh, that was it was pretty interesting because when I first got to prison, I read a book. Well, I read an article about Stoicism, and I read what it said. It didn't really talk much about Marcus Aurelius, but it said Stoicism, and I was like, that's how I need to be. And I made a decision to start trying to be a Stoic. I didn't know that much about it, and in prison, it's not that easy to find information about it. So when I came here and we started seeing that, I was really interested in it. It really inspired me, and I figured I was on the right track because being in prison sucks. Believe me, nobody's going to say any different. It sucks. So this opportunity, you guys are getting, take advantage of it, and just make a change. But trying to be a Stoic and just not worrying about the things that I can't change, that I can't control, and just letting it go and just doing the best I can, may help me get through it. 3.5 years I've been locked up, so that's a long time. That's a big chunk away from my kids, from my family, and I've seen other guys in prison go through it, and they go crazy, and it's just all day. I just said, you know what? There's nothing I can do. So studying that here made a big difference, and it helped me learn a little more about it, and I plan on continuing. I'm gonna be a Stoic.
Good.
Marcus Aurelius.
What about the Jesuits? Fan now?
I'm a little more open-minded. I'm gonna investigate them a little more.
Okay, good.
We'll see. We're gonna investigate.
Good.
See what they're all about.
Okay, so we're gonna get a picture here, right? Okay.
No.
Good.
That's cute.
Okay.
Thank you.
So. Oh, he left. I'm gonna put the camera down.
I'm back. Hello.
These are gonna be our
See,
posts
Dodie
for
strikes
the day.
again.
These are our posts
So
for
we're done.
today, Director.
What?
These are our posts for today.
Since our smoke break here.
Oh, okay, good. Good. Okay, so now
Are we done?
Now we're done, but what we're going to do is get a picture outside, and then we will do the watermelon thing. Right, Fred? Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone. That will conclude today's fun.
All you guys can take a group picture together.
Okay, so back to work.